Welcome, property investors. This is the Building in Perth podcast with your two hosts, Chris Holland and Tony Hyde. If you're a property investor or you're curious about investing in property in Western Australia, this is the podcast for you. The reason for that is we're not going to hold back. We're not going to sugarcoat things. We're certainly not going to bullshit you, and we're going to exploit everything that you need to know. Every month, we're going to have special guests on, industry professionals, and then we're going to release an episode every single Monday. So you're not going to miss anything. So please stay tuned, like and subscribe so you never miss anything, and enjoy.
Hi guys, and welcome to the Building in Perth podcast with your host Tony Hyde and
Chris Holland.
Thanks for joining us again. Episode number 2, and we're going to tackle all things finance around about banks and Keystart. So yeah, appreciate you tuning in. As always, Keystart. You tell me.
It's a bank. It's a government body. It's another bank here in Western Australia. I think we're actually quite fortunate because Keystart was trialled in WA, stuck in WA, but I don't think it's actually exclusive to anywhere else yet. Anyway, we'll get into that.
Yeah, cool. So like I said, we're going to discuss all things bank, Keystart, all the options, what deposits you need, what they look like, discover LMI, all the stuff that you're maybe not sure of. Try and debunk that to give you an idea of what kind of stuff you're going to need before you come and see us here at the Housing Land Expert or our building broker or whatever, what kind of stuff you need to get finance. Cool. So there's 3 kind of main ways you can pay for a house. One, obviously, cash, which is the best way to do it. If you've got the cash, great on you.
Love that.
The other one's going through a bank, and there's hundreds of lenders.
There's loads, yeah.
And then the one that a lot of people are using, especially in WA for first home buyers, is Keystart. And we wanted to just go through the points, the pros, cons, myths, and all that stuff. So yeah, Chris, what is Keystart? How did it come about?
Government body. I think it was 1989 it was founded. Keystart got a really bad rap. It basically was founded by the government to help low income earners or single applicants, not single mums or dads. And what Keystart did at the start is they took a percentage of the house, so they owned half of it. That percentage has changed since it's been around, but basically it was like a co-occupancy mortgage, let's say. So Keystart would own some of the mortgage or some of the house, and you could never fully own your house. But like anything, like any company, there's teething problems. So Keystart had a real negative rap for a long time. Probably only about 6 or 7 years ago, it really became much more popular. So for first home buyers, I think 65% in WA actually go through Keystart. So it's not a small thing. It's quite a massive thing. The big benefits of Keystart, it's a low deposit. So it is for your lower income earners or people that are struggling a little bit more. So yeah, low deposit, as little as 2%, which is awesome. Because in WA especially, or Australia-wide, you get $10,000 if you're a first home buyer to go towards your deposit. Yep. So just some quick numbers. If it's a $400,000 package, 2% of that is $8,000, but the government actually give you $10,000. So technically speaking, there's no deposit. You have to pay the builder and the land a deposit, but you don't actually have to save up, 20, 30 grand. There are options. Negative with Keystart. The interest repayments are a little bit higher. They're usually a bit higher than the 4 big main banks. Correct.
But on that, if you use Keystart to get into your house, you can straight away go and get another lender. There's no lock-in contract with them, and that's a big thing. People are like, no, I'm stuck with them. You're not. And if they're telling you that, then it's wrong. So
that's another thing. So like again, from 1989, lots of things have changed throughout Keystart's policies, and a new one that's came to light recently is you had to pay off a certain amount of equity. I think it was 10%, the most recent one, before you could refinance. So what refinance means is we sign up, we build a house for Keystart, but you had to pay off on that $400,000 package example, you would have to have $40,000 of equity in order to refinance to Westpac or someone like that. Now you don't. Now you can actually refinance straight away. There's no lock-in. There's no term. You had to be there for 2 years. 5. There's lots of things that have changed with Keystart, but basically it's a great little, especially more for your first home buyers. It's a great bank to get in with. Actually get in a house and pay off your own fucking mortgage rather than rent. Okay. And then you can refinance. Yeah.
Another good thing with Keystart is there's no LMI, so lender's mortgage insurance. So quickly on that, if you don't have a 20% deposit going through the bank, anything less than that, they're going to charge you a percentage of a lender's mortgage insurance, which can be like 13 to 25 grand depending on the amount of your loan, and that gets put on top of your loan, which then will affect your servicing. So it's all relative to what it is. That's why there's like a real big benefit of using Keystart, in our opinion anyway.
Well, think of that, right? So 20% of a $400,000 package is $80,000. Which first home buyer has $80,000? Not many people. Very, very few people. So
yeah, maybe controversial, but LMI is a bit of a fucking money-making scheme from the banks, to be honest, right?
Of course it is.
I know they're trying to protect themselves, but they're already protecting themselves by doing your servicing, so they know whether you can afford it or not. So
yeah, that's right.
Tough, right? So,
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
It is totally. But yeah, so just quick recap on Keystart, because obviously it is pretty easy to use. It is low deposit, 2%, and you get that 10k first homeowner grant. Now we don't know how much longer that's going to be around. We've not heard anything about it, but if the government's going to try and claim some money back, that 10k first homeowner grant may be one of the first things that you might see disappear.
And that's changed over the years as well. That's fluctuated in cost. I remember at one point it was 21 grand.
Yeah,
it's been as low as 7. It's been as low as 3. It's disappeared, but at the moment it's 10 grand. But back to Keystart, the other than the low deposit, so the 2% deposit that you need, I think the best thing about Keystart is when you build a house, you take out an interest-only mortgage during the construction. Okay, so let's, again, scenario. On a $400,000 package, roughly your repayments are going to be $480 a week, let's just say. But that same couple or single applicant or whatever is renting in PR Waters, and they're paying $400 a week currently. So they're paying $400 a week. If it went to a traditional bank, what happens is the payments increase in stages. So when the slab gets poured, they'll be paying $200 on the construction loan, on top of the $450 PR Waters rental, $650, and then every time there's a stage claim, which means, so once the concrete's done and then the bricks are built, or we hit plate height, that $200 a week increases to about $280. And then when there's roof cover, that $280 changes to about $330. So you're actually paying 2 fucking mortgages or 2 lots of rent, and it's really hard for a lot of people to do.
If you're on low income as well, right?
Keystart, if you're renting for $450 a week and your final mortgage repayment for a Keystart is $500 a week, you actually only pay the difference. So you pay $50 a week. And the reason Keystart do that is because you're then paying for the duration of the loan or the construction, your mortgage repayment. So you're not scared. You're not going to be shocked, You're already prepared. So whether the bill goes for 12 months, you're actually prepared. You've been paying a full mortgage for 12 months, technically. You know what I mean? I think it's really good. What was happening prior, I think 2 years ago, Keystart's policy changed. They used to only charge people $50 a week during the construction. But what would happen then is you've got, like some sales consultants that are fuckwits, and they would sign up, young, innocent people that didn't really understand things, and they'd be like, don't worry about it, only cost you $50 a week. And it did, until they got the keys, and then it's like whack, $600 a week, and a lot of houses got repossessed, and people couldn't afford it. So I think it's a really smart way that they've done it. Just so we're clear, that only works when you're renting in a licensed premises, so for professionals or Ray White or someone like that. Not if you're just living at home with mum and dad.
And what's the scenario then if you're living home with mum and dad?
You pay the full whack, right? So on that 400k scenario, let's say the mortgage repayments for a Keystart are $500 a week, you pay the $500 a week from the start the whole way through. So you're still paying that full amount. So more often than not, I've actually told people, go and fucking rent for a year and actually get a feel for it, get your own independence if it's a young person.
And again, that just for Keystart is one or two things. They're trying to get you used to paying your full mortgage amount, right? So you can do it and what it looks like paying it. But also they're doing it to. Oh, I lost my train of thought. They're doing it to. That was the train of thought. That was it. They're doing it to get you used to paying your full mortgage amount, and that's how they're making their money. All right, and then, but the convenience of being you have a low deposit, but you pay a higher interest rate. And banks do that as well. They're just that Keystart seem to have this bad rap where. The figures say themselves like 75% or 70% of people that are or first home buyers are using Keystart.
Right? 65% was the last that I seen. That could have changed now, obviously, but
it's still a bloody lot amount, right? High amount of people using it for a bank, a government bank that's got a bad name, right? So
correct.
We're happy to give you any more information on that stuff, or go and speak to a mortgage broker or a bank, and they'll explain a bit more to you because, it's a really good option and tool if that's what you need, especially if your goal is to get into your own house, smash down some equity and then refinance.
Yeah, 100%. I think Keystart applies to anyone that's potentially a low income earner, struggle to have savings. You don't need any. You literally need $500 in the bank. That's it. Other banks will require a lot more, and it has to sit there for 3 months and all this type of jazz. So I would say low income earners that struggle to save money. The other thing with Keystart, you can't earn too much money.
Yeah.
So you can't be 160k a year and just a useless cunt that fucking spends all your money on drugs and beers. There are criteria that you have to meet. Same with couples, so single applicants, couples, and families. There's different.
But also, like with Keystart being a bank, you still got to service. You got to service, and and servicing means that the amount of money you earn, the bank will say you can afford to borrow this much, and Keystart do the same thing with you as well. And then that's servicing. Just to touch on it, that's when they go through your bank accounts and your deposits and see what you're spending like. So top killers of servicing getting approved.
Bet365,
Bet365, Sportsbet, TAB, Afterpay.
Your little Romanian drug dealer. Don't pay ID him anymore.
Don't take $350 out every Friday night. It's pretty obvious to catch on what you're doing there. If you don't know what you're doing, ask someone. If you don't know what I mean by that, ask someone. But also things like Uber Eats every night. Yeah. This. It sounds crazy, but this stuff to look at, they go 100%. Through a time, fine tooth comb and go. This person's irresponsible with their money, and that's not just Keystart. That's banks as well. Yeah. So that's what servicing is when we talk about servicing. So you make X amount of dollars, you can borrow this amount. But it also takes in consideration your car loans, your credit card loans. If you have kids, if you're paying defaults, defaults are the killer. Guys, pay your bloody mobile phone bill.
Yeah.
Pay your Afterpay. These things will destroy you from getting any loan anywhere. And that's what they're there for to do. So your defaults, but you can get around defaults. You've got there's ways around it. We'll cover that in a completely different, because it's a whole section. But come and see us. We can help you with that. That's what servicing does, and it tells you that. So you have to take in considerations, child support, all that stuff. It all has a major factor in it. To consider. If you've got other mortgages as well, you've got to show that you can pay that.
I think it's overwhelming finance. Most people ignore it. I'm one of them as well, to be honest. I know how much my monthly or weekly outgoings are, but no one really likes to look at your finances. Everyone's a bit fucking scared of it. So don't be overwhelmed by what we're saying, because we're here to help. Or your mortgage broker. We're not mortgage brokers, but we work closely with certain mortgage brokers. Yep. So I use Sergio from Movement Finance. I think he's brilliant. Top guy. We get along well, and he's by the book. He's straight, but he's relatable. He's a young fella as well. He understands. He withdraws money from ATMs. He's on Sportsbet. So we work with you together and speak in layman terms so you understand what the banks are looking for.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're not saying you have to be a straight A student for 12 months to get a loan. It's not like that. It's just you need to clean up your account conduct, they call it, a little bit. So don't be overwhelmed. There is a lot of stuff that needs to be done, but we take care of it. Yeah. We kind of hold your hand through that process. And
that's what we said in the last episode, if you've listened in. If not, go back and look at it when we covered build times.
Right now, pause this and go back.
Yeah, do it. Don't even listen anymore. About going and finding professionals, people out there that have actually do this. This is what their job is. Fair play if you go and get educated and try and do it on your own. Brilliant. But there's people out there, if you do a bit of homework, that will actually help you through the whole process, that know what they're doing and can guide your hand. Or again, like we said, come and see us and we'll help you through it, because we've got great partnerships with Sergio, Johnny, all those guys. So definitely come and see us for that.
I was just going to say, on top of that, you can also do your own research. You can go to the banks yourself. It's the same as builder broking. Mortgage broking is a thing. So you can see multiple mortgage brokers, or you can go and see multiple banks. You can approach Keystart yourself. It's not like an organization. You can't go off your own back and do it, and some people do that. I guess the benefit of having a mortgage broker is they do all the fucking paperwork for you. Like, you don't do anything, you just sign. They don't actually cost you anything. They get something called a trail and a commission. So the bank that they go with, whether it's Keystart, whether it's Bank West or whoever, they pay the mortgage broker a commission. Doesn't affect you as the client, you know what I mean? It really doesn't. And then they get a trail, so they get paid every single month that you continue your mortgage with that bank.
Yeah.
So mortgage broker should review your loan every year and try and get you a better interest rate. If he's not offering that service, fuck him off and get a new mortgage broker. It costs you nothing to swap banks. Again, that the mortgage broker will argue that on your behalf. Yeah. If you're Tony that walks into ANZ, they're going to try and sting you as a breaking lease or breaking contract or whatever, and try and sting you for leaving. A mortgage broker is equipped and they know the terminology, they know the paperwork, they know the contracts, and they'll move you from this bank to this bank. It doesn't cost you any money. So again, that is their profession. We don't claim to be mortgage brokers. We know 60% of it, but these guys are professional.
Again, that's why the mortgage brokers there, right? You know, what same as we've spoke to the builders that are best and that we think are best in the business to work with, right? Same with the mortgage brokers. They're going out there working with these banks to save you going into all these different meetings and saying, hey, this is the best one that suits your circumstances. Their interest rates are changing constantly. The banks have got different servicing criteria. So yeah, do highly recommend that you go and see a mortgage broker if you're going to do that.
So that's Keystart. I think it's great, but again, low income earners that struggle with savings. That's my that's what I think. Going forward, I think the big banks. So everyone gets strung up on the big banks, ANZ, Bankwest, blah blah blah. There's so many options, man. There's P&N Bank, there's Bendigo Bank, there's Bank of Queensland. There's so many banks to consider that offer such good things. Like, and again, this is not my area of expertise, but I just highly recommend going for a mortgage broker because they will explore these options. And you know, you get some mortgage brokers that only put you through Commonwealth because they receive platinum status and all this shit. Like, fuck that. Go and see a mortgage broker that really does have lots of different banks. One thing I want to touch on, there's a product at the moment that Bankwest offer. It's a 2% deposit. So similar to Keystart, you actually only need 2% of the package value. So again, based on that 400,000 package, you only need an $8,000 deposit. Now there are additional fees and stuff like that come with it, but it's a really good option for a low deposit bank. So gone are the days where, you know, my parents used to, you know, 50 grand in the bank and then put it down you don't actually have to put so much money down. You don't have to put 20% or 10%. You can get away with 2% options. Specifically on that Bankwest option, you have to rent a house for a licensed real estate agent. You can't room share, you can't whatever. You can't stay with your mum and dad, you can't stay in your mate's house and pay them cash. It's got to be a licensed real estate agent like Professionals or LJ Hooker. And they've got to see conduct that you can make your rental repayments. But if you've got that, or you're in a situation where you are renting and you think you've got 2% of say $500,000, which is 10 grand in the bank, you actually qualify for a house, which is cool. As long as you got a job, obviously.
Yeah.
Unless you're a drug dealer, it's a bit harder. Not impossible, but it is harder. So I love the Bankwest product. I bank with Westpac personally, but I love that Bankwest product, and I don't think a lot of people know about it. Bankwest don't scream it from the rooftops the way I think they should. From then on, it's a 5%, 8%, 10%, 20% deposit. So it can be quite a lot. So if savings is holding you back from potentially building your own house, there are other options.
That's like, again, you know, we talk about LMI there, right? And that if you're under 20%, there's an LMI. But sometimes look at it. If LMI is only 13 or 15 grand or 18 grand, how much is your 20%? It might only be, you might get there quicker, right? And surely, in my eyes, it's better to get in that house and start making equity than it is to try and save up another $40,000 for your deposit. Because remember we said 20% on a 400k is 80 grand, right?
Yeah.
If you've got 25 down, it's another like 55 to get there, right? So
LMI can be split up, but you don't have to have it in cash form. You can actually just whack it on top of your mortgage. Yeah, you pay interest on that, 100%, but you're in a rental at the moment paying fuck all. You're paying someone else. I'd rather be paying a bit more interest and have my own property than be paying someone else's mortgage.
Think about how long did it take you to save up. If you've not got mum and dad giving you money, like how long did it take you to save 25k? How long is it going to take you that 55k?
Exactly.
If it's another 2-3 years, you could be 2-3 years off on your mortgage and make that in equity for the sake of 13-15 grand, right? It's fucking
life happens as well.
Yeah.
Fucking people have car crashes. You go on holidays, shit happens. Like you break a leg, you need two months off work. Shit does happen. So like, it takes a lot of time to save up 25-30 grand, man. A lot of time. You know what I mean? Without temptation of fucking spending it while you've got it, you know what I mean?
Oh, you have the bad day and you're like, fuck it, I'm just going to go and buy that thing, and you're another couple of grand down because you went and bought new golf clubs or went on a holiday or some shit like that. Do you know what I mean? We've all been there, we've all done it.
I think if any young person's listening to this, especially, or old, who's not took the plunge yet and still renting, ask your parents, ask your uncle, ask your fucking Uncle John or your Auntie Sandra, if they could have got into the property market at an earlier age, would they have? And I don't think you'll find one of those elderly people that says, nah, stay renting for another 20 years.
Yeah.
It's sooner you're in, the sooner you're in.
Yeah, and there's other ways to get a deposit. Like if your mum and dad are willing to put up like guarantor, so that's a really good option. People are pretty scared by it, but
What does that mean?
Guarantor means like someone will either put the money up or put equity up against their house. So hypothetically, my parents would say to me, I'll give you 100 grand to guarantor against your house. They have to make sure, one, that their house values or whatever they're putting up, the asset they're putting up, values at the right money, and then they can only borrow 8% of it. So you'd have to be 120k sort of thing to get the 100 sort of thing, roughly, right? And then the banks then have to talk to each other, make sure it's all good, and then they put it up. Now, say you borrow, say it's a $500,000 loan, you don't borrow against 400, you still have to pay 500,000. It just means that if you default, you're going to fuck up your mum and dad's loan because they're going to come straight after the 100 grand at that house and make them pay it. That's what a guarantor essentially is.
A positive thing about guarantor, and a lot of people exclude the option to do it because they think it's going to cost the mum and dad money. It actually doesn't cost them anything. All the paperwork and all the liability is in your name or the borrower. The mum and dad's purely there at last resort. That guarantor there is if you fully fucking default. I'm not talking about if you miss a few payments here and there, but if you flee the country and move to fucking China, then they come after your mum and dad's portion and they'll sell it. They'll sell your property to get that money back off your mum and dad, but it doesn't actually cost your mum and dad anything. There's zero change to their loan, zero change.
Just have to have the equity.
Correct.
And as soon as...
Which most of your mum and dads will if they've lived in the house longer than 10 years. Yeah. So that's a rule of thumb. If your parents have been in the same house for 10 years, even if they've retired, blah, 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 that's an option.
Yeah. And when you've got your loan, as soon as you've got enough equity, then you have to change. Like the guarantor stops because you've got the equity in the house to cover the loan. Yeah.
So they're no longer at risk. It's now on you.
It's on you.
Yep.
And then you're on your own mortgage and stuff. So guarantor is a really good option. It's worth having a chat, especially if it's inheritance. Like get it early if you can and stick it in your house and get yourself on the market.
Why not?
What was it? The other thing, I suppose, the other government scheme that we've got running is the first home loan deposit scheme. Now, again, you need... So the one I know about is it's for families, couples, and I think they have to earn under 150,000 as a couple.
Just before you go...
Sorry, mate.
These are constantly changing policies, you know what I mean? So at the time of recording, it's fucking the 10th of November, 2022. By next month, there'll be something else, or 2 months later, just so everyone's aware. Like, it's quite hard to keep up to what the government's actually offering at the time, but there's always something available. So this one that you're talking about, I'm going to put my hand up and say, I've got no idea. I've been out of the game for a while in terms of selling, so I've got no idea, but you can...
I know a little bit about it. So it's a first home loan deposit scheme, so it's a government incentive. There's like 30,000 spots, and they've got spots with all the major banks, and what it means is you need, as a couple or a family that maybe low deposit, don't have much earnings or much savings, they need 5% genuine savings. So they need a 5% of the
What's genuine savings?
Real savings that are actually in the bank.
How long do they need to be in the bank
3
for?
months.
There you go.
So if you are going to get a loan or a gift, it has to sit in your account for 3 months, all right?
When he says a gift, you mean mum and dad give you 15 grand?
Yeah, it's got to sit there for 3 months. Otherwise, it's basically to stop you getting it for a month and then taking it back out, right?
Yeah.
So it's 5% of genuine savings.
I can give gifts to client, by the way, for a very, very high interest rate. If anyone wants it, I can, only 40% or something.
Yeah, free hat, 15 grand. And then what happens is it basically the government are going to get rid of the LMI for you for the banks because they're going to guarantor the other 15% of that loan.
Yep.
So you still borrow...
That's awesome.
Yeah, you still borrow 95% of the loan, you get 5% genuine savings, but you just don't have the LMI. It's to get people moving and stop. I think the government are trying to stop the banks claiming this LMI.
We are so lucky to live in Australia.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
Australia is the best country in the world. That this type of stuff doesn't happen everywhere. We take it for granted, and if you're not taking advantage of it, you're a fucking idiot.
And there's another one in the first home deposit scheme as well, and I think it's for single parents, and it's a 2%. There's a lot of things you got to go through it, but it's 2% and 18%, a certain amount of money, and you have to be able to service it. So that one's not as common because it is quite hard to have a 2% loan on your own and service a mortgage. But these things are there. Talk to your broker about them because they're really great options, man.
100%.
Like no LMI, 5% deposit.
One thing regarding that one that you're talking about now, what is it? The first home
loan deposit scheme.
I do know that there's only selected applicants, so it's not like an unlimited thing like the first homeowners grant.
30,000. this year.
30,000, but that's Australia wide.
Yeah, Australia wide. There was 10,000 last year, 30,000 this year because it was so popular.
But that then gets divvied up into different states and stuff. So we might only see 6,000 of that. Let's say, is it? I can't remember. Sergio told me. I think
but also, each bank gets a certain amount as well. So it's not a free for all. Banks are giving it, and then
certain banks,
get it. They'll get an amount of it.
A percentage of that let's say in WA we've got 6,000 applicants. So Bank West on it. Bank West might only get 600.
But your broker will know this, and he'll know where to shop for it. I think P&N get them and stuff, but no, go in and ask that question because it is a really good option. If you've got a full-time job, good credit score, serviceability, and we'll talk about credit score in a minute as well, by the way.
Yeah, that's a big one.
It's a real big one. That serviceability, if you think you're there, if not, run a service check with your broker, or come and see us and we'll run it for you.
100%.
We'll tell you where you can work, and if it's do it, we get it done.
If you can't do it, we'll show you what you need to do to get it done. It's not just a case, you don't qualify. It's actually come have a chat. Yes, it's fucking scary, whatever. We have to look at finances and shit. It is, vulnerable. It is a bit scary. But at the end of that 45 minutes, you walk away knowing what you need to do. I've got I had a niche market of single mums, like when I started selling. I fucking loved them because you tell them what to do. You're like, okay, right, you don't qualify right now, but this is what you actually need to do. Tamara and Amy, fuck me. Single mums of 3 kids each, man, and I've got so much respect for them. It's unbelievable. And all I said to, I think Amy was the one I said, she was getting money off Centrelink, which counts, by the way. So Centrelink money counts, CSA agreement, child support, that all counts as income, right? So I was like, you have to work 18 hours part-time a week, and you have to maintain that for 3 months in order to qualify for this much money, which gets you this house. She fucking done it, man. Single mum, 3 kids, school drop, pick up, lunches, all the shit that comes with it, and then had to go and work a part-time job. And she actually earned less money. By working, it reduced her Centrelink, but that's what the bank needed to see in order to loan her. She's now fucking getting her keys in like a month's time. It's fucking unbelievable. That gives you so much reward. But if you're a single mum or dad and you think that you're stuck, you can't get savings, you're up against it, you're paying child support, doesn't matter. Come and speak to us. There's definitely options, and especially for people in those circumstances, the government really do help.
And one thing we'll do is if you don't qualify, we'll help you get there. I'll show you what you need to do. It's not always the greatest conversation, but it's going to be the truth. It's going to be complete honesty. You need to do this, and then obviously the ball's back in your court. So one thing that trips people up, and we'll talk about defaults, is your credit score, though, and that's related to your debt score.
Now, I didn't really know what credit score was when I first started in the industry. So what actually is credit? Because I never really loaned anything. I never borrowed. I just used to save up and then buy it.
Yeah, I was kind of the same as well. So it's the credit score is like your borrowing behaviour, if you want to go, like how when you've borrowed or got loans or how many times you've applied for it. It's your behaviour, and you get a score on how good or bad you are. So things that will affect it is if you keep going for different loans and applying.
Afterpay,
things like that, and then you default on them or you've got hundreds of them. It can bring your credit score down. And what
cash converters.
What banks look at that is you got a crap credit score. You're not a reliable
customer. Yeah, and it's really sad because companies like Afterpay and cash converters, like these mini loans, quick loans, they're there for people. It's a great tool. You just got to be mindful now that that's actually damaging your credit score, because I've got a friend, or I've got a couple, Pablo and Amber, and they had quite a lot of inquiries. They didn't need to use these services. They just done it because it was a thing. So, but they never knew actually in 2-3 years when they were gonna build a house or get a mortgage, they never knew it was damaging their credit score. So it's not these things aren't bad. It's not like you can't ever use them. It's just be mindful. And the other thing is, prior to lodging for a loan, we can clear them, so we can actually pay money to remove them from your credit score, so it tidies up your account conduct to say. But what we don't want to do is sign you up for a beautiful big house and land package, blah blah blah, get you all excited, you pick all your tiles, we go to lodge for finance, and then we find out you've went to cash converters, loan 600 times, and Afterpay 400, and blah blah blah. That's how idiot sales reps work. They'll hook you on emotion and then figure it out afterwards, and it's crap. And what happens, it ends up taking a year to clear all that shit, and then the house price and the land price gets taken off you, or you need to pay more money. So it's quite shit. But so don't not use these things. Don't be scared of them. They are really good. Afterpay's, I'm a big investor in Afterpay. I think it's a great thing, but just there's ways to use it, and there's ways to make it look good on your credit score.
Be mindful of it, right? And if you've got these things running, fucking pay them.
I'll put it this way. would you give me $500,000 if you had my credit history and it went didn't make payments on his phone bill, on his car, it goes to cash converter?
Basic stuff.
You wouldn't give me the money.
No, not at all. And that's basically what it is, right? But you got to be some tips. Be mindful of it. You know, if you can't pay or you're going to struggle to pay, speak to them. Talk to the person that you've got the money. Say, hey, I'm going to struggle to pay, because they'll just hit you straight on a default or give you a warning, and that those things flash up on your credit score, and then they can be just detrimental to what you want to do.
So on credit scores, you can get a free credit check. It costs about $30 or something, but normally the mortgage broker, in hope that you're going to go with them, will do a free credit check for you. So it doesn't cost you anything. It's a tick and flick. We fill out this form, your driver's license. We need that, your home address, your full name, mobile number, and then a signature, basically, isn't it? And then within 24 hours, we can come back and go, your credit score is 300. You've got to get it to 600, so it's normally 0 to 1,000, I think, isn't it? And anything from 550 up is okay. Anything less than 500, we need to work on it. Now, when we say work on it, what that means is you could have missed the payment on your Telstra bill. So when I refinanced, I left Vodafone to go to Telstra, and there was a bill there that I didn't pay, and it was like 60 odd bucks. I didn't even know about it, if I'm being honest. When I refinanced, I moved property. I never knew it was there, and I actually had a default on my account for $60. So that stopped me actually refinancing. I got knocked back by Westpac, for refinancing because of this $60 bill. So I never knew until I done the credit check, and then I paid it, removed it, waited 2 weeks, and then I could refinance. So it gets everyone. No one's got a perfect credit score.
No, and we'll work you through all your credit score, and if there's any issues and how we can help you, and little tricks of the trade that we know that we can get you through it. Just to clarify, so some people, and I've had this come to me saying, I don't want to sign the credit score form because it's classed as a check. It's not. It's a snapshot of it, so it doesn't count as a check. What they're talking about is when the things that show up as being applying for inquiries. That's like inquiring to get an afterpay loan, inquiring to get all those different loans. This is just a snapshot to say, hey, this is what your credit score is, and getting a proper one done gives you I think there's 3 different credit score Equifax. I can never remember. There's 3 of them, but they'll check all 3 of them to make sure that you're good to go.
Sweet. Like that's it. Finance is fucking boring, to be honest.
Yeah,
I hate it. I hate talking about it. It's part of our first appointment. We have to really dive in on finances because it's important that you understand it to a degree, but more importantly, you're comfortable what this actual package is going to cost you at the end of it. So you do have to understand a little bit about interest rates and deposits and lenders' mortgage insurance and all this type of stuff. But yeah, I don't want to talk about it anymore.
No, I'm done as well. Let's just like, guys, like, click, subscribe. As always, give us all your comments. If you think we've got it wrong, hit us up. We weren't wrong though, so it doesn't matter. But you can have it. But no, honestly, thanks for listening again. Share this, let everyone know, and we'll see you next week.
What are we giving away this week? It was hats last week.
Ferraris,
first 10 comments. Ferraris this week.
For the first person to use a
Colour.
word, reds and blues.
Red and blue Ferrari. What's the code word in the comment section to get a Ferrari?
It's
Pineapple fritters.
pineapple fritters.
Pineapple fritters with 2 S's.
Are we getting them? Brilliant. All right. Okay. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Thank you, bye.
Bye.